What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? You've seen the title. We got some breaking news to discuss. And also, we're going to be breaking down the whole 168-pound division when it comes to the world champions, updating you and giving you guys the facts when it comes to the two options. Only two fighters in the 168-pound division that have an opportunity of fighting Canelo Alvarez. Yes. Christian Mbili is in the mix, ladies and gentlemen. He is in the mix. Somebody who is involved. Boxing Scene reports, somebody who is involved in the negotiations between Christian Mbili and Canelo Alvarez has confirmed that he is in the mix. Now, a couple months ago, when Turkey Al-Sheikh and Canelo Alvarez made the announcement, about a week and a half after the IBF ordered Oslis Iglesias to fight against Canelo Alvarez, Canelo says he's still recovering from his injury. We'll get into that right now in a second. Canelo Alvarez comes out with a video, Turkey, and announces he will be making his return September 12th on a card promoted by Canelo Promotions titled Mexico versus the World. Yes. And Turkey announced that Canelo would be fighting for a full world title. A full world title, the former undisputed super middleweight champion of the world, who lost his bouts against Terrence Bud Crawford. Now, when Terrence Bud Crawford retired from the sport of boxing, the sanctioning bodies started to make moves, right? The bouts were up for the taking. We had no world champions in the super middleweight division as soon as Terrence Bud Crawford retired. We see the breaking news. Canelo Alvarez is going to return September 12th and fight a full world champion. At the moment when they announced that, Christian Mbili, about a couple days after that, literally a couple days, was announced that he would be elevated to the full WBC super middleweight champion of the world. He was the WBC interim champion, had a rematch mandated by the WBC to fight Lester Martinez. That didn't go through. Was mandated to fight against Hamza Shiraz. Hamza Shiraz is looking the other way to the WBO mandation against Diego Pacheco, which we'll get into right now. That doesn't go through. The WBC decides to elevate Christian Mbili. Now, he's been the #1 fighter in talks around the boxing world of getting the Canelo fight next. Why? Why? Because back then, and even right now, Oslis Iglesias was ordered to fight against Canelo Alvarez for the vacant IBF super middleweight title. Canelo turned it down. The IBF scrambles around, orders the fight against Jaime Munguia. Jaime Munguia turns it down. Oslis Iglesias just wins on April 9th. Yes, April 9th against Pavel just a couple weeks ago, and is now the IBF super middleweight champion of the world. The WBA elevated Armando Resendiz as the super middleweight champion. He was actually the first super middleweight champion following Terrence Bud Crawford's retirement. The WBA was the first to make the move and elevate Armando Resendiz from the interim. He just beat Caleb Plant as the plus 900 underdog, took the strap off of Caleb Plant, was the interim champion, and gets elevated to full world champion. Armando Resendiz, who's going to be taking on Jaime Munguia. Jaime Munguia on the Zurdo Ramirez versus David Benavidez card coming up Cinco de Mayo weekend, right? And we've seen the WBO mandate the Hamza Shiraz versus Diego Pacheco fight. Diego Pacheco withdraws from that. He doesn't want to fight Hamza Shiraz. He has personal things that he has to deal with within his training camp. Hamza Shiraz gets ordered to fight against Alan Belgic, who he's fighting on the Rico Verhoeven and Alexander Usyk card. Yes, at the Pyramids in Giza. Hamza Shiraz is fighting for the world title, the WBO super middleweight title. So now that we're here, back then Christian Mbili was the #1 fighter that I was thinking, because Armando Resendiz was a Mexican fighter, and it's Mexico versus the world September 12th. So that didn't make sense, right? Hamza Shiraz, Diego Pacheco, that was still going down. There still was no world champion yet. And the IBF had ordered Jose Iglesias, and Canelo turned that down, so we knew that wasn't going to happen. So Mbili was top player for the fight. We even were dropping videos of Turki Al-Sheikh at the 2025 award ceremony, posting pictures with a bunch of different groups, but the only picture that he posted on Instagram of two fighters shaking hands, taking a picture together, was Christian Mbili and Canelo Alvarez, who we thought for sure is going to be getting the fight next. And I'm still 70% certain he's getting this fight. Osley's not certain at all with him. Will he be fighting Armando Resendiz or Jaime Munguia? The winners out of that fight. Well, he's already fought Jaime Munguia. September 12th, Turki says he's fighting for a full world title. Jaime Munguia has been training with Canelo Alvarez. There's reports that they're training. Jaime Munguia is going to be on that Mexico versus the world card. It wouldn't make sense for it to be Mexico versus Mexico, would it? No. If Armando Resendiz beats Jaime Munguia, guess what? Resendiz is Mexican as well. It wouldn't make sense for those fights to be made. Mexico versus Mexico, when it's Mexico versus the world. That don't make sense at all. So I rule out the IBF and I rule out the WBA. I look at the WBO and I look at the WBC. Christian Mbili, who is in the mix, has just been confirmed by somebody who's involved with negotiations. But there's been all the subliminal messages, everything that you can see from the sport of boxing if you've been covering it, that Christian Mbili is going to be next. It was, weird how everything went down with Lester Martinez and now everything went down with Hamza Shiraz. It felt like the WBC was placing Christian Mbili in this position instead of ordering a different fight with him or something like that. They elevate him, I feel like, in order to help Canelo Alvarez and put him in another great position. But then I look at the WBO and I think, wow, Turki's involved in this card. Hamza Shiraz is more than likely going to beat Alan Belgic and become the champion, ladies and gentlemen. Turki has been wanting his favorite fighter, Hamza Shiraz, to get the fight with Canelo Alvarez for years now. You're talking about Turki, a guy who in that draw, Hamza Shiraz versus Carlos Adames. You're talking about a guy who was running, looking at the judges' scorecards, reporting it back to Hamza Shiraz, somebody that he wanted to win, somebody that he was trying to set up to fight Canelo Alvarez. If Canelo would have beat Terrence Bud Crawford, Hamza Shiraz would have more than likely got the next opportunity or second up. Guaranteed. Hamza Shiraz on that Pyramid of Giza card is gonna be Ellen, and now he's a full world champion. So there's two full world champions in the sport of boxing, the super middleweight division, that could be fighting Canelo Alvarez next. Osley's, no. The WBA, no. I'm 30% certain that it could be Hamza Shiraz. My goodness, is that really going to be Canelo Alvarez's return fight? I know Turki would want it, but I don't think Canelo would want that, honestly. 70% certain it's going to be Christian Mbili. We're predicting it's going to be Christian Mbili as they confirm that he's already in the mix and negotiations have started. Yes, negotiations have started, especially with Christian Mbili, ladies and gentlemen. So, that being said, September 12th, I got him fighting against Christian Mbili. If it ain't Christian, then we know who the other possibility is. He says it's for a full world champion. I just broke down the full world champions to you right now. It's either going to be Hamza Shiraz or Christian Mbili, ladies and gentlemen. But let me know who you guys think Canelo Alvarez is going to be fighting next September 12th in Mexico versus the world. This is the MMA Boxing Addict channel. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I'll see you guys in a little bit.